Ali here at Mindwave Meditation, and today we're going to dive in a little bit deeper to the Law of Attraction, the 101 series. And this is really going to help you. It just is. It just does. And that's why I'm confidently smiling, because I know this to be true because I've used it for years, unconsciously and consciously. And using it consciously is so much more enjoyable because you're aware of what you're doing and you're expecting the results that you're seeking. And when you get the results that you're seeking, it's like, okay. So my way of giving back from learning and practicing this wonderful knowledge is to share it with you. And if you can enjoy it and experience it too, then life complete. So I'll see you in a bit. Okay, so I don't know if you watched the earlier video about my experiences with the Law of Attraction. I shared a few stories when I was younger, when I had some amazing manifestations come into my reality, and how it really changed the way I thought about life and how I live my life. So in this session, we're gonna kind of talk about some of the more kind of ins and outs of how this stuff kind of works. And so I kind of took another deep dive recently and studied a whole bunch of stuff and really got down to it and came across a few people who really talk this stuff and know what they're doing. And you've got some big players. You've got Bob Proctor, who's an absolute beast. Check him out. You've got John Assaraf, a wonderful guy who's amazing with all this. He talks a lot about metacognition and how the mind, thinking about thinking. Very, very interesting stuff. And then you've got Abraham Hicks, Esther/Abraham Hicks. She channels a source spirit called Abraham, which is crazy if you're not into that stuff, and lunacy to some. But when you listen to it, it's so profound and it's so wise. And every time, without fail, an audience member will just get an answer that's just mind-blowing and great practical advice. So I'm of the school of thought that I don't care where it's from, as long as it rings true and it feels good, it's well-intentioned, it's not got some, I don't feel like I'm being manipulated into something else. I couldn't give a two hoots where information has come from, as long as it rings true and it feels good. So, that's just me. So I want to share with you some kind of main points from the book Law of Attraction from Esther Hicks. It kind of summarizes all this stuff better than I think anyone, I believe. I just think this is the holy grail of the Law of Attraction. So the first thing was Law of Attraction. It just is. It's like attracts like, and pain attracts pain, suffering attracts suffering. It is what it is on all levels. Wherever intention goes, energy flows. And we know this to be true because we know that if we're down in the dumps and then we tell our partner or a friend, we bring them down, and then they get in that spiral, and then they share stuff that's similar and we pass it on. So the first thing is, it just is. So what we do with that is up to us. Now, if we're consciously aware of this stuff, we naturally want to stop causing more pain and suffering in ourselves and out in the world, because consciously we don't want to give anyone any more of our BS. We don't want to hurt or cause more pain. So consciously speaking, we change what we're saying to people. If you're walking down the street and you see someone and you go, "Hey, how's it going?" There's only really one answer. It should be, yeah, all right, yeah, or not bad. And the not bad is implied that it's not great, but you don't stop and have oh, actually, I'm glad you asked. And then you're looking at your watch going, I heard a comedian talking about this the other day, actually. It's implied that we don't offload all that stuff because it's just not the time. That's just not how we do it. We don't want to be giving people our baggage in, just like that in the middle of the road when we're just passing through. We've got to pick our battles. And, if you do have something that you really need to talk to someone about, talk to them about it, absolutely. But we really want to be carving the path of least resistance as we go through our day. Our footprint should be a good, positive footprint at all costs, surely. Do you not agree? And if we throw out these little fires here and there, maybe we get off a call and we just slam the phone down, or we give someone a crappy text or email, or we were a bit short with someone, or we were a bit passive aggressive, or we're a number of things. These are all triggering this negative, unwanted domino effect going the other way. And we know what that feels like when someone does it to us, yet we often do it to others. So let's consciously change that story and dive into number 2, which is the law of deliberate creation. So the law of deliberate creation is a next level way of thinking, which is accepting and taking responsibility for this downward spiral, this upward spiral, and knowing and accepting, number 1, the law of attraction, and realizing it's up to you to create and generate a positive outcome. So what we want to do is we want to stay open and specific in our intentions. And then we get to funnel that energy into something that we desire. So something I left out of the video I did on my experiences was I was talking about I lived in a place around near my friends, and the one thing I forgot from that video, which was probably one of the even better stories, where I found that £10 note floating down the road. If you didn't see it, I looked out my window and there was the exact amount of money that I needed to go to the bank. And it's just mind-blowing. It still to this day boggles me. So long story short was I was coming back from a tour with my band, and I realized that I hadn't figured out where I was going to live, because I'd been living on my friends' couches and I hadn't quite figured that part out yet. And 2 of the other guys in the band were in the same situation. We're in that kind of what we can do, what we're going to do, how, and I said, don't worry, I'll sort it. And this was the attitude I used to have more often than not, was don't worry, I've got it. Because I had this feeling of knowing that things were working out and just things will be. And that knowing comes from experiencing over and over and over again these amazing things. You just get into that state of just knowing at that point. So before you get to the knowing, you have to experience, because how else are you going to just feel like it's going to happen? You'll just feel delusional. So once you get to a level of experience, it just becomes, that's what is. And you believe it to be true because you're witnessing it and experiencing it more often than not. So long story short, I was in this state of knowing, and I started walking around the area that I wanted to live, and I went to the housing estates. Estate agents. I went to all the estate agents around where I lived or wanted to live, and I went to maybe three or four different people, and nobody had room for 3 people. People had room for four people, 4 rooms or 2 rooms. There was no 3-roomed houses available anywhere. And I went to 3 different places. They obviously all know all of the houses. There was nothing. I couldn't find anything. And I was adamant that me, my drummer and my bassist were all gonna live in a house together. And that's what I knew that I wanted, and that's what was gonna happen. But my reality was telling me otherwise. The people that control that happening are saying, no, we don't have that for you. You cannot do that. But that's what I wanted, and that's what I needed, and that's what I desired. So that story in my reality, I didn't accept. So at this point, I was confused, because what I needed and what I wanted, I couldn't have. But I still wanted it and needed it. So I was confused. So I followed inspiration, which always seems to kind of come in. You know what it's like when you get an inspired thought. It's like, I know what to do. And even if you don't know why you're doing it, you know you got to do it. So my inspiration said, go to the pub. So I remember walking down the street, and I must have just been, totally bummed out, like thinking about how I was going to make it happen, jumping into the hows. How am I going to make this happen? How is this going to work when they've said no, they've said no, they've said no? And I was in that state, and inspiration kicked in and said, go to the pub. So I went to this pub, and I sat down at the bar, ordered my pint, and there was a guy there, and it was just me, and it was just him. He went, all right? I said, all right. Had a little chat. And straight away, out of nowhere, I said to him, do you want to go and sit down and have a chat? And he looked at me weird. And I said, yeah, I know, I don't know, just me, I'm here, you're here, we might as well have a chat. Instead of sat in silence. And he went, yeah, all right. He sat down, and this guy did not shut up about his house. He just would not stop talking about his house, to the point where I was thinking, I don't want to be hearing this. I'm trying to find a house. This guy's banging on about his house and how amazing it is and how he lives on his own, and he does what he wants, and he's living the dream, all the rest of it. And I was like, this is a hell state. This is exactly what I don't want. And then boom, I stopped and I looked at him and said, sorry, correct me if I'm wrong. Are you telling me you live in a 4-bedroomed house and you're the only person living there, and that you really love it, and you can't stop talking about it, to the point where I'm actually getting annoyed now because you love your house so much? Pretty much said that. And he said, yeah. And I said, can I move in there? Didn't know who this guy was, didn't know his backstory, didn't think about why he was living in a house with 3 empty rooms, which I later found out. Get to that in a second. He said, yeah, I don't see why not. I told him about the band, said we're all nice blokes. He said he'd have to ask his landlord. Rent was super cheap, because the guy had it, and he was just like, he just wasn't, fussed, he wasn't working on it at the time. So I moved in. Not long after, told the guys in the band, they were like, what? We all moved in. The guy was a nightmare. The house was a nightmare. Served me some good times, but also a lot of pain and suffering as well. It was just a mixed bag of craziness. My point is, I got the house against all odds, when all of the correct methods of getting a house had said, no, you will not be living in that block of houses. There's no houses for you. I got the house. I got the house by following my intuition and having a pint with a stranger. Now, the house was a nightmare. So, law of attraction aside, it worked. I got that, But I wasn't specific. I just wanted a house. I didn't ask for an amazing house that was great and having a great time. I just needed a house, and it came to me pretty quickly. So I learned from that story big time that if I'm gonna set intentions and create deliberate action in my life, I'm gonna be specific to exactly what I want, but also remain open to allowing the best case scenario or something better. And this is the kicker. This is really what we got to focus on. if we're going to play this game of trying to attract something into our life to make our existence better than it is already now, we've got to be aware that things might change to make that happen. Like I said in the other video, I really wanted my old band to take off, so I started chanting loads, I started using this law of attraction stuff, and then the band broke up. And I was like, what? This is the opposite of what I wanted. And what I wanted was my band to be successful, and that band apparently wasn't going to be. So it got removed out of my story to make way for my current band, which I love and adore and is harmonious, and I couldn't be happier. And also for every member in that old band has now got a better version of their life. They're in better bands, they're happier, they're doing the things that they want to do. So our collective intention around that time, mine was using all this stuff, the other guys would have been doing this stuff in their own way, just thinking about it, constantly thinking about what they do want or what they don't want. Collectively, we all had the same intentions at some point for it to make a change. At the time it did. So with deliberate intention, we want to be super deliberate of the best case scenario or better, or be vague enough to allow the universe, the world, your intentions to form the best thing for you. So really the intention just has to be the best case scenario for me and everybody involved, or something similar. Really define that last part, because that's what's going to bring you something that's going to serve you, rather than something that you think you want and actually it's the worst thing in the world. So the other story I told in the other video was the bike story. That was specific. I knew of this BMX, it was green, I could picture one, I'd only ever seen one, I'd been on one, it's the only one I'd been on, the stunt pegs were on the back, it was a certain colour, it was a certain brand, and then boom, that exact same bike with the same stunt pegs in the same place, not on the front, they were on the back, the same brand, the same colour. The specificity the specificness of that intention delivered exactly as I'd imagined. I had no other references. I had one reference, and it came. In this situation with the house, I want a house. No, I wanted 3 rooms. I didn't even want a house, I just wanted 3 rooms. So when we start to look over what we're doing and what we're intending, we can start to gather the information from our own experiences and start to define and go, okay, last time I got what I wanted, but it wasn't actually what I wanted. So this time we need to figure out exactly what we want, and then we apply the intention process. Okay, number 3. So coming off the back of this law of deliberate creation, we've now entered a whole new process of thinking, and it's beyond victimhood, it's beyond what is what is. It's now we're choosing to program the reality that we want. And all we have to do is set an intention and create a strategy, a plan of action. This isn't just hippie nonsense. It's part hippie nonsense and part practical action taking. If we want a dream and we really, really want it, what are we gonna do for that transaction? What are we gonna put into the story to get that transaction into our life, to get that manifestation to come to us? You know, if you just sit there and go, I want this, it doesn't work like that. We've got to go out there into the world, we've got to make those calls, we've got to send those emails, we've got to write those plans, we've got to scrub out those plans and write better plans, we've got to start actually engaging and pushing and putting output there. And it doesn't have to be painstaking, it can be effortless. My new band has been effortless in comparison to anything I've ever done before. The songs have just come. The people we've met have been organic. The artwork and everything's just come together really nicely because we are harmonious and not in a state of need, want. It's beautiful. So now I'm realizing this and going, oh my God, it's so amazing. I need to apply more of that I'm learning from my experience with the music and applying it to everything else. So like I keep saying, if you don't have your strategy, get D2D now. It's gonna map everything out for you. You'll figure out exactly who you are, what you're here to do, and how you're gonna do it. And it really sets you off with a crystal clear vision of what it is that you even want to bring into your reality. So get on that, dare to discover if you haven't already. Then it's a case of setting the intention, deciding exactly what we want to experience in our lifetime, in our now, in our here and now, in our reality. Then when we have that clear picture in our mind, we engage feeling, and we start to feel what it's like to already have that we desire. When I wanted that house, I felt it. I have this house, I live here, and why did I want to live there? The feelings of why, because my friends were there and it was where the community was. I had to be there. That's where I belonged at that time. And I felt it. And I don't know how, but like a magnet, I matched up with that one person that lived in that place at that point in time. I don't need to know how. Coincidence? Maybe so. You know, I don't care. I got the house. That's what I cared about at that time. I got the bike. I got the gig or the whatever. Forget about the house. It doesn't matter. Set the intention, make it a good specific intention, and make sure that it's going to serve you and other people, ideally, and then allow it. So intention, emotion, and action. That is your recipe. If you can combine those and practice that daily, it take 3 minutes. Put your timer on, close your eyes, intention, feeling, and then believe it to be true, and then go about your day and put out the action. And then just experiment, see what comes back to you. So now you're practicing intention, emotion, and action. You're doing these 3 things regularly, and that's the trifecta of win right there. What we now need to do is unplug from the story, detach from the outcome, because the very thought of needing or wanting it to happen is repelling it. It's like if you're trying to chat up a girl and you're really, trying to get the girl or the guy, they can sense that, and nobody wants that. Nobody wants someone who needs someone. It doesn't work like that. That's a repellent. So a lot of people are good at intending and bringing things into manifestation, but they never seal the deal because they can't detach from having it. They change it halfway through to, yep, okay, it's coming, yep, I'm gonna get this, and then, oh, I really need this to happen. And the energy goes from going up to going, ooh, no, goes down, and it pulls it away. So this is the difficult part, is whatever we truly want, we have to just believe and trust that through intention and feeling and action, that if it's meant to be, it'll come into our life and we will receive it. If it's meant to be, if that's what's meant to happen in our experience. So any need or want is really going to undo all that hard work, and it'll all unravel and be harder to get, and it'll pull it and push it away. So essentially, trust in your desire, trust in yourself enough to believe it to be true, to put out the good action, and to be open for it to actually come into your reality. All right, here we go. So number 3 to bring it all together, is the law of allowance. Are you even ready to accept into your life what you truly desire? That relationship you want? Is there room in your current apartment, house for that person? For the car that you want? Are you able to move into those fancy clothes that you want? Will you be able to walk down the street and feel good in them? Are you ready for that bank account to go through the roof and all that comes with it, the new bills that you'll have and the new conversations that you'll have and the people in your family that might want some of that money? Like, are you prepared to allow that lifestyle, that image, everything that you truly want to experience? Are you actually ready to allow that into your reality right here, right now? There's a wonderful speaker called Eric Thomas who told a great story about wanting a really, really cool car, really, really expensive car. And he realized that if he manifested that car in his current life when he was younger, if he'd driven that car to his mum's, that car would have got stolen, 100%. If he parked it outside, it would have got stolen. And he was like, oh, actually, I can't do it. If I go to my grandma's, oh, no. Yeah, it probably will get stolen there too. And he said even if it didn't get stolen, he'd be spending most of the time inside worried about it getting stolen. And it's just interesting to hear that he wanted it so bad, but then taking a moment to think about it, actually that car would cause him more stress if he did bring it into his reality at that moment in time. So is that the best decision? Is that where he's going to spend his manifesting time, on a car? Or should he put that money into some real estate and watch it grow until he can move into another area, so then the car matches maybe that area or a certain habitat that he's living in? So you want £1 million, $1 million. How many people have we seen that get $1 million, £1 million, million whatever, and then they blow it all because they can't handle that energy and that magnitude of, having the freedom to spend, and they implode. It happens time and time again. So if you want to be a millionaire, you need to have a millionaire mindset. Right now, I'm really happy with my business going organically on an upwards trajectory. That's the main thing. As long as it's going up, up and up, I'm enjoying the process, because right now it's busy enough with emails, all these different platforms, talking to people. If I had millions and millions of people messaging me at the time, I'd probably find that quite overwhelming unless I had a team that could go through that. I'd probably feel guilty that I couldn't message everyone back. I'd go to sleep at night knowing that there was still 500 messages that I hadn't opened up and people waiting to hear an answer. So going incrementally at the point that you're actually ready is more powerful than maybe getting the £1 million or the whatever. So take all of this into consideration when thinking about what you truly, truly want in your life. So on the subject of material things or money, having a figure like, I want £1 million or whatever, is, you'll never be satisfied with that. What we really want to do there is think about how much we can give back. Because if you're thinking about how much you can give back, then you've obviously got enough money to do that in the first place. That's always going to keep you pulled forwards, and it's in a more selfless and generous and grateful attitude to life as well. It's more of a positive than just, I need this, I want this, then what? You've got it, great. But how much better would it be if you could generate all that you want to generate and then give back en masse or help other people in any way? So if you can attach a deeper purpose to what you're trying to manifest, even on a smaller scale, if it's, I don't know, I could go anywhere with these analogies, but just on a smaller scale, see where you can involve someone else's happiness. Is there someone else that's going to benefit from you manifesting this thing? And if so, that's where you can focus the energy on. Instead of the thing, think about why. That generates the feeling of why you want it. Why do you want to bring this thing into manifestation? Is it just to serve you, or does it serve others? That feeling of serving others is only going to cultivate that feeling of joy and gratitude within, which in turn will help it come quicker. So now we want to be a receptor for what we do want. I teach and guide a lot of people, and I hear so much what people don't want. Oh, I don't want this, I'm sick of this. It's very much victimhood mentality for a lot of people, because they know fully what they don't want because they're experiencing it all the time, and it's coming round so often. I don't want this anymore, I don't want this anymore. And that's when they come to me or other people like me. Is we're the bridge for those conversations. Oh, okay, so you know what you don't want. Let's start working and figure out what you do want. This is a story that you've not been allowing yourself to play because you've been down here. So if you're not down there and you're already in a kind of a better spot, then great. This is where you can do this a lot easier. What do you want? Let's focus on it. We know it needs to have a good purpose. We know it's got to serve you. We know we've got to be specific, but also vague, to open it up to lots of options, to the path of least resistance for it to connect. So really, we've just got to tune in to the happiness, which was stage one, as often as possible. So smile, feel gratitude for already having that which you desire, and then cultivate joy, love, and the peace and freedom that you get from feeling and having that already in your life. Repeat that process. Smile, feel love, feel gratitude for already having what you desire in your life right now. Feel the joy, feel the peace, feel the freedom. Enjoy having that thing in your life right now. This feeling of happiness is now attracting those opportunities in your life. Now, you could look at that from a woo-woo perspective, like it just is. But practically speaking, when you walk into a room, when you sign off your emails, when you speak to people, the people is how things happen. Your engagement, your relationships. If you have this energy, the energy between the relationships is going to be better, thus allowing for better opportunities, better recommendations. Oh, I know a guy that you should speak to. Oh, this girl, yeah, she's a good one. That's how it works. It's relationships. So if we open up to the co-creation story, then we're really just bringing two great things together. So smiling, gratitude, joy, happiness, peace, these are all great things to feel. Let's just put it like that. When you feel these things, it feels good. You feel good, others feel good. Everybody you meet will get a splash of your sunshine, your smiles, and it's contagious. So it's a knock-on effect, and that really is the process. Law is law. Decide exactly what you want. Get D2D down below if you've not already. Put in the action, put in the feeling, put in the intention. Practice, 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 practice daily. Enjoy. Detach, let go from the outcome, and be in a state of allowance. Be the magnet. Just be it. Just expect it. Just repeat that process. So that's been fun for me. I've enjoyed sharing this with you. I hope I tried to uncomplicate it as much as possible. But if you got any questions, let me know. I'd love to talk you through it. And please do share your experiences down below so others can see it, so they realize it's not just me being a crazy person. If we're still allowed to say crazy. I think crazy's fine. Crazy fun, crazy cool, you can still say crazy. Because people say crazy fun and crazy cool all the time. I don't know, I've been rambling for a while. So have the most amazing day. Keep manifesting or mentally selecting what you choose in your life to make your life a better experience for you, your family, your friends, your business, your children, your grandkids, your future grandkids, and the world to be. Stuff like that.